three Google file folders, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. I know some of you aren't writing first, second, third in that order. It's totally fine. But just have like a clear demarcation of like Act 1 is everything in your past. Act 2 is everything in your present moment from the time you started the program with us. And then Act 3 is when you're going to start Act 3 when you become a producer. So after 40 journal entries, I'm going to have a plan for you to start arcing your first Act 1s into, well, let me just put it this way. If you're writing the first in Act 1, I'm going to help you transition it into the third. And if you're writing in the second, in Act 2, I'm going to help you transition it as well. So by the time you begin your producership, you're going to start going back to all your journal entries and making it cleaner. You're going to be sculpting it just like a sculptor. If you're going to make David, you're going to have to really chip away and kill some of your darlings, your darling writings, your precious words. And some of them are very poetic. It's just going to be stripped down to something where if someone were to pick up your book and read it, it's going to make sense.
His grace to me. Verse 3, I passed on to you that which was given to me. The grace that God gave me, I re-gifted it to you. That's all I did. I get weary when I try to pass on to others what God did not give to me. But when I stay on my grind, hashtag in my grace. That's the new hashtag. I'm on my grind. Touch somebody, say I'm on my grind, but I'm in my grace. Hashtag in my grace. That's how, give me that bag. Follow me around. You follow me with that bag? I want you to go into situations this week. Can I use you? You don't look so sure. It's those situations in your life that require extra grace. Those people in your life, one author called it EGR people, extra grace required people. Do not make eye contact with the person you came to church with right now. That would be the worst thing you could do. And I want you to take the situation in your life this week that the grind. And in your mind, I want you to see it as a gift. So I got a whole bag of bows. And I want you to take the situation this week. That you've been asking God to take away, and he won't. And when that person comes your way, that tries your soul to the marrow of its essence. Oh God. How many of you just had a flash image of who they are? Put a bow on them. In your mind now. Don't do it really.
You have 160 classes per week.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even, that would be 1 hour per person per week if it's 160 classes. So you have to actually, if every person has 3 classes a week, you have to multiply 160 by 3.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at mental math.
300 and 180, 480.
480.
Yeah.
Divided by, let's say 10 hours, because if every journal artist, I'm trying to figure out how many journal artists we need. So 480 hours.
Okay.
Divided by 10. What's that?
48.
That's 48. You need 48 journal artists to work 10 hours per week. for
Hmm.
1,600 people. Unless they
I mean,
double up and work 20 hours a week. Then it's 24 journal artists.
that's a little more real. I mean, things can be changed. The prices can be changed to make it a more sustainable. Certain variables can be changed. That
I
can
mean,
shift it one
it's
way or the other.
possible. Honestly,
Yeah, it's possible. It's
can't
not that
have
crazy.
we can have 24 journal artists working part-time 20 hours a week.
Like you, it's a gift. It's a gift. Shout it out loud by faith. It's a gift. Doesn't have to feel good to be good. All things work together for the good of them that love God and are called according to his purpose. So I'm looking for the gift in the grind. I'm looking for the gift in the discouragement. Imagine how much fun it's going to be to go through the boring parts of your week with a bag full of bows, just looking for the grace of God. Just looking for the mercy of God. Just looking for the gift of God. Because if I seek, I will find. And if I knock, the door will be open. And if I embrace the grind, I can receive the gift. Because the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. Does somebody say, I got a gift? It's a gift. It's a gift. That's how I do it. I'm out of bows. You take the bag. I got a gift. High five everybody in your vicinity and say, what a gift. What a gift. My weakness is a gift. My struggle is a gift. God could have knocked Paul off of his horse before he ever consented to the killing of a Christian. But if he had done it too early, Paul would have valued it too little. I have a feeling that when God really wants to use somebody in a great way, just like they took the olives to make the oil that went in the lamps, that went in the tabernacle, so that they could burn in the presence of the Lord, had to be hand pressed so that there would be no pulp in the lamp that would cause the light not to burn as brightly or as long. I have a feeling that God does to the life that he really wants to handpick what they would do to those olives, and he hand presses the life to get the oil to flow from the purest place. That's what the grind is for. To get out my pride. That's what the grind is for. To get out my self-reliance. That's what the grind is for. To get out my superiority. If God would have given it to me too early, I would have thought I was better. But now I can say, I don't even deserve to be what you're calling me. But I'm it. But it's not me, but it's in me. And I'm on my grind when I'm in my grace. Here's the challenge. The enemy can't stop God from giving you grace. So he wants to stop you from using it.
Google AdWords. We really have to just get it down to a point of like being experts for Google Ads for this to work, because it's possible with a $10,000 a month budget, and if we start becoming knowledgeable on how to utilize Google AdWords, I'm sure we could start getting people to sign up. And
there was the class online for Google AdWords that I was thinking of taking. It's free and like Google sponsors it. But I'm wondering if I have time to do it. So that's why I didn't know how long it takes. But like someone told me about it recently.
Talk
So I was
to
like, maybe
Carson.
because I think it would help at least because I'll be honest. Every time I talk about Google AdWords, I don't know what's going on.
Me neither. I don't.
So I'd take it and I'd see.
Talk to Carson, and then I'll also give you access to Udemy and like this other one I signed up at Forbes. I have 2 online classes on Google AdWords that I never really did. But it's not my
Mhm.
forte. I'm letting that go. I'm no longer the jack of all trades. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
focus on building the journaling.
James Joyce, A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. Chapter 3. He would pass by them, calmly waiting for a sudden movement of his own will, or a sudden call by a sin-loving soul from their soft perfumed flesh. Yet, as he prowled in quest of that call, his senses stultified only by his desire, would note keenly all that wounded or shamed them. A cold, lucid indifference reigned in his soul. At his first violent sin, he had felt a wave of vitality pass out of him, and had feared to find his body or his soul maimed by the excess. Instead, the vital wave had carried him on its bosom out of himself and back again when it receded. And no part of body or soul had been maimed, but a dark peace had been established between them. The chaos in which his ardor extinguished itself was a cold, indifferent knowledge of himself. He had sinned mortally, not once, but many times, and he knew that, while he stood in danger of eternal damnation for the first sin alone, by every succeeding sin he multiplied his guilt and his punishment. His days and works and thoughts could make no atonement for him. The fountains of sanctifying grace have ceased to refresh his soul. At most, by an alms given to a beggar whose blessings he fled from, he might hope warily to win for himself some measure of actual grace. Devotion had gone by the board. What did it avail to pray when he knew that his soul lusted after its own destruction? A certain pride, a certain awe withheld him from offering to God even one prayer at night, though he knew it was in God's power to take away his life, while he slept and hurl his soul hellward ere he could beg for mercy. His pride in his own sin, his loveless awe of God, told him that his offense was too grievous to be atoned for in whole or in part by a false homage to the all-seeing and all-knowing.
Thank you. Wow, appreciate it. It looks great.
Ciao, Foxy.
Say hi. Say hi, Fox. She's a little baby. Thank you. I will give you what seems to me to be the most clear and certain exposition of basic aesthetic theory I know, namely that of James Joyce in A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. Joyce makes a distinction between what he calls proper art and improper art. By proper art, he means that which really belongs to art. Improper art, by contrast, is art that's in service of something that is not art. For instance, art in the service of advertising. Further, referring to the attitude of the observer, Joyce says that proper art is static and thereby induces aesthetic arrest, whereas improper art is kinetic, filled with movement, meaning, It moves you to desire or to fear and loathing. Art that excites desire for the object as a tangible object he calls pornographic. Art that excites loathing or fear for the object he terms didactic. All sociological art is didactic. Most novels since Zola's time have been the work of didactic pornographers who are preaching a social doctrine of some kind and fancying it up with pornographic icing. Say you are leafing through a magazine and see an advertisement for a beautiful refrigerator. There's a girl with lovely refrigerating teeth smiling beside it, and you say, "I'd love to have a refrigerator like that." That ad is pornography. By definition, all advertising art is pornographic art. Or suppose you see a photograph of a dear old lady and you think, "I'd love to have tea with that dear old soul." That photograph is pornography. Or you go into a ski buff's house where there's a painting of a mountain and you think, "Oh, to go down that mountain slope." That painting is pornography. Your relationship to it is not purely aesthetic, just perceiving the thing. Most of the art that one sees is either didactic or pornographic. For help with proper art, Joyce goes to Aquinas. He says that he uses the Latin words that the aesthetic object renders three moments: integritas, wholeness; consonatia, harmony; and claritas, radiance. Say you have several objects on a table. Put a frame around any portion of the situation, and what is within that frame is now to be regarded not as an assortment of separate objects, but as something else, a single entity, a wholeness, integritas.
Ja nie wiem, człowiek. Ledwo, ani dobra nie są, nic nie
Nie mieli są na twoje wecykie do winy.
Ja nie wiem, ledwo.
Nobody seems to care. I'm troubled by now, and I hate my shame. Every day, every day, every day, every day, every day I have to move. Well, I'm troubled by now, and I hate to lose. That's it. Thank you very much.
Sen
Amen.